The next morning, knock, 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 Dustin was woken up by a knock at the door. When he opened it, to his surprise, standing outside was none other than Hunter Anderson. "President Anderson, what brings you here so early?" Dustin yawned. "Mr. Dustin, I have great news." Hunter looked excited. "I've found the whereabouts of the top-tier spiritual herb you asked about, the mystic vermilion fruit." "The mystic vermilion fruit?" Dustin instantly perked up. "Are you sure?" The mystic vermilion fruit was extremely rare, a once-in-a-century treasure, just like other supreme-grade herbs. If he could get his hands on it, he'd only need 3 more herbs to refine the life extension pill. "Absolutely sure." Hunter nodded firmly. "The mystic vermilion fruit originally belonged to the Medicine King Valley, but recently, someone purchased it at a high price, and that person is currently staying at Green Cloud Villa." "Oh? Who is it?" Dustin raised an eyebrow. "Murong Ching of the Murong family," Hunter replied. "Murong Ching? What does he want with the mystic vermilion fruit?" Dustin's eyes narrowed slightly. He never met Murong Ching, but he did have a bit of history with the Murong family. "I heard his daughter is afflicted with a strange illness. They need the mystic vermilion fruit to treat her." "His daughter, would that be Snow Murong?" "Oh? You know her?" Hunter looked surprised. "In a way. We met just yesterday." Dustin nodded. "So, Mr. Dustin, what do you plan to do?" Hunter asked carefully. "I must get the mystic vermilion fruit, no matter what. Today, we'll put our pride aside and pay a visit to Green Cloud Villa." Without wasting another word, Dustin packed up and rode with Hunter Anderson to the villa. The mystic vermilion fruit was far too important to let slip away. Such treasures were almost always one of a kind. If he lost this opportunity, who knew how many years it would take for another one to surface? He wasn't willing to wait. 30 minutes later, Green Cloud Villa, reception hall. Murong Ching sat at the head of the table, his gaze calmly sweeping over Dustin and Hunter Anderson. Years of command had granted him an unshakable authority. Even someone as experienced as Hunter felt slightly overawed. The Murong family hailed from a military background, and the old General Murong had countless battlefield achievements. As his eldest son, Murong Ching was a high-ranking military officer himself, far above most people. "President Anderson, to what do I owe this visit?" Murong Ching asked coolly. "Lord Murong, I'll be honest, we're here about the mystic vermilion fruit," Hunter said directly. "The mystic vermilion fruit?" Murong Ching lifted his eyes. "You're very well informed. But I have important use for it. I'm afraid I must ask you to leave. If you intend to use it to treat your daughter, I'm afraid it won't do much good," Dustin interjected. "It can only relieve the symptoms temporarily, but it won't address the root cause." "Oh?" Murong Cheng's brow twitched. "And who are you? Do you think you have the right to speak here?" "Lord Murong, this is my friend, Dustin. He saved your daughter's life yesterday," Hunter quickly explained. "You're the one who helped Snow yesterday?" Murong Cheng's tone softened slightly. "Speak. What do you want in return?" "Money, treasures." In his view, Dustin was clearly here to seek compensation. But the Murong family had no shortage of resources. "I want the mystic vermilion fruit," Dustin replied bluntly. At this, Murong Cheng's expression darkened. "Young man, I can offer you gold or gems, but not the mystic vermilion fruit. That herb is for my daughter's treatment. I already told you, it won't cure her." "But I can," Dustin said seriously. "You can? What makes you think you're capable?" Murong Ching was clearly losing patience. This brat really thought that just because he helped once, he could speak so brazenly? "Is it true that your daughter has had a cold constitution since childhood, and that every month she suffers an outbreak of internal cold poison?" Dustin asked. "What of it?" Murong Ching frowned. "Your daughter has a polar frost body. Years of accumulation have bred a toxic cold within her. Medication alone can only suppress the symptoms, it won't cure it. You'll need to change her entire constitution," Dustin explained. "Nonsense! Polar frost body? I've never even heard of it," Murong Ching snapped. "It's fine if you haven't. Just let me examine her, and I'll prove what I say." Dustin remained calm. "No need! I'll handle my daughter's illness myself. I don't need any outsider's help." "You too, leave at once," Murong Ching ordered coldly. Some random kid shows up claiming he can cure a condition that's baffled top national doctors for 2 decades? Absurd. Lord Murong, your daughter's condition cannot afford delay. I urge you to reconsider, Dustin said earnestly. Out! Murong Qing slammed the table, clearly enraged. In that case, I'll take my leave. As Dustin turned to go, he pulled out a red pill and placed it on the table. This pill will keep your daughter stable during her next attack. You may use it when the time comes. Without waiting for a reply, he walked out. He knew that no amount of words would change Murong Cheng's mind. Someone of his stature would never trust a stranger. Lord Murong, Mr. Dustin is no ordinary man. I hope you'll reconsider. Hunter gave a respectful bow and followed Dustin out. Humph! Arrogant fool! Murong Qing muttered with disdain. A nobody, daring to speak so presumptuously in his presence? Where did he get the nerve? Cheng, who were those two just now? At that moment, Yulan Dong walked over gracefully. No one important, just 2 buzzing flies. Not worth mentioning, Murong Qing said dismissively. Yulan picked up the red pill from the table and examined it carefully. Could this really help Snow's condition? She had heard Dustin's parting words clearly, and was understandably curious. It's probably junk. Just throw it away. Murong Qing waved his hand, completely unconcerned. No way could a single pill cure anything so severe. Just then, a maid suddenly burst into the room, panicked. Master! Madam! Bad news! Miss Snow has fainted. What? How could this happen? Murong Cheng's expression changed dramatically as he shot to his feet. I don't know either. When I went to wake Miss Snow up this morning, she was already unconscious and ice cold all over, the maid reported anxiously. Before she could finish, Murong Qing and Yulan Dong had already rushed out the door, hurrying to their daughter's room. But when they entered, both were stunned by what they saw. Snow Murong was lying motionless on the sun-flamed jade bed. The jade bed, normally warm and glowing with a red hue, was now covered in a thin layer of frost. Snow's face was deathly pale, her limbs stiff, her eyelashes and brows frosted over. Even wisps of white mist were drifting from her skin. At a glance, she looked like she had just been pulled out of an ice cavern. Snow! Yulan Dong panicked and rushed forward, rubbing Snow's hands and blowing warm air on them, trying to warm her up. This is bad! Murong Cheng's face turned grim. He checked her pulse. It was extremely weak. Her breath was barely discernible, like it could stop at any moment. Without hesitation, he began channeling his inner energy into her body. Slowly, the frost around her started to melt, but Snow Murong's body remained cold and stiff, her consciousness still gone. Yulan! Contact Immortal Physician's son immediately! Tell him to come at once! Murong Qing ordered. His inner force could protect her heart temporarily, but it wouldn't last long. Okay. Yulan Dong didn't dare delay. She pulled out her phone and made a call. After speaking briefly, her expression turned extremely grim. Immortal Physician's son is already on his way, but he won't arrive until tonight. Tonight? She may not last that long. Murong Qing frowned deeply. Call Yunadong and have her find every renowned doctor in Stonia. Bring them all here. Right. Yulan made another call. In less than an hour, Yunadong arrived at the villa with a group of physicians, her face filled with worry. Chief physicians, professors, specialists, every big name in Jianling's medical world had been summoned. Everyone! Whoever saves my daughter today, the Murong family will owe you greatly. Murong Qing didn't waste time, offering a hefty reward right off the bat. Rest assured, Lord Murong. We'll do everything we can. All the doctors were fired up. Now that they knew who they were dealing with, they realized this was their big break. If they cured Snow Murong, their names would be known across the country, and they'd gain the Murong family's favor. Fame, fortune, connections, what wasn't to love? However, once they examined Snow Murong's condition, their enthusiasm quickly turned into concern. Her body was frigid, radiating waves of icy energy, unlike anything they had ever seen. For a moment, no one dared to make a move. Don't tell me, none of you can do anything? Murong Cheng's eyes grew sharp. This? The doctors looked at each other, speechless. Useless. Every last one of you. Murong Cheng's face darkened further. He hadn't had high hopes, but this result still made him furious. Uncle Qing! I think Snow's not going to make it. Yuna suddenly cried out in alarm. Everyone looked over and saw that Snow's body had turned even colder, her breath fainter than ever. This is bad. It's getting worse. Murongching gritted his teeth. Even as he poured more inner energy into her, it was only buying time, not a solution. What do we do? Will Snow be okay? Yuna was panicking. She had grown up with Snow and loved her like a sister. She couldn't bear to see this happen. Chun, should we try this? Suddenly, Yulandong took out a red pill, the one Dustin had given them. She hadn't thrown it away earlier and had kept it in her pocket. Are you kidding me? What good could that thing do? Murongching frowned. Just try it. We've run out of options. What if it works? Yulan said solemnly. She didn't want to risk her daughter's life either, but no doctor could help. An immortal physician's son was still on his way. They had no choice but to try anything. What if it's poisonous? Murongcheng hesitated. He came to our door with confidence. It's unlikely he would dare to poison anyone. I doubt anyone is foolish enough to risk angering the entire Murong family. Yulan reasoned calmly. Hearing this, Murongcheng fell silent. He looked at his daughter's frozen body, then clenched his jaw and nodded. All right. Let's try it. Yulandong took a deep breath and gently fed the pill into Snow's mouth. The pill dissolved instantly and slid down her throat. Moments later, its effects became apparent. The cold mist surrounding Snow's body began to dissipate. Faint waves of warmth slowly emerged from her. As the heat spread, the frost on her lashes and brows started to melt. Her icy, rigid body softened and grew warmer. A trace of color returned to her pale face. Even her breathing became steady again. It's working! Yulan's eyes lit up with joy. Though she had no idea what the pill was, it was clearly dispelling the cold within Snow's body. Could that young man have been telling the truth? Murongcheng's eyes widened in disbelief. He had thought Dustin was a charlatan trying to swindle him. Who would have imagined the pill he almost threw away would save his daughter at the most critical moment? Uncle Ching and Yulan, who gave you that pill? It's amazing! Yuna was glowing with excitement. Yuna, do you remember the young man who saved you both yesterday? Murongcheng asked. Of course. That guy. He's mysterious and probably not a good person. Well, this pill was from him. What? Yuna's eyes widened in shock, completely stunned.
And just can't accept it. This can't be the end yet. You promised to never leave. And now you're gone. Can't believe. I can feel the world slipping away as you slowly fade from my everyday. You promised forever a love without end, but now I'm left broken, struggling to mend. I thought we were so tied, destined for a lifetime, love with no end, love with no end. Staying in my imagination, memorizing the past time, the secrets, the love, the care, now they're echoes in the air. I still see your face in every place, feel your warmth, your gentle grace, but now there's just an empty space, and I'm lost in this endless chase. Keeping you in my heart, a piece of you I'll never